When my husband was injured in his accident, we had about 35 fruit trees and over 100 berry bushes. We had blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, and a variety of fruit trees. And we were just at the point after planting where we were beginning to harvest fruit. And then his accident happened. That meant there was no one to care for the orchard for the first 2.5 years that he was home from the hospital. The first year, I didn't even go over there. So over time, the blackberry bushes died off, the raspberry bushes died off for the most part, and the blueberries, they struggled. There's no irrigation over there, so it's not as though they were even getting water. The fruit trees also were attacked by pests, and they, for the most part, have died off. I think we have 5 surviving fruit trees. So then we decided we needed to come up with a plan in order for us to have fruit again, but make it on a manageable scale that I can handle and that he can assist me with. So the first thing we did was we sat down and we decided where we were going to put the mini orchard. Our long term goal is to still put an orchard slash berry patch on the other side and do a U pick. That's still our long term goal. However, in the meantime, for our family, we knew we needed a way for us to get fruit. So we decided when we were building the greenhouse to clear the space around it and put what I call a mini orchard. Now, I will say this: mini is relative, right? Because we live on a bit over 3 acres. And on this property, we have the ability to grow a lot more fruit trees than the typical home gardener would. But for us, I think we're going to stick to about 26 trees in this square footage here. And today, I went shopping and I picked up 20 of those fruit trees. I had 4 before, so I have 2 more to get. Let me show you what I got. Before I tell you what varieties of trees that I got, let me explain a little bit about putting an orchard in. The first thing you want to consider is making sure you have it in an area that will get at least 6 hours plus of sunlight. This area around the greenhouse, we do. We were able to watch it all this summer and know that it does get 6+ hours of sunlight. The next thing that we did is we wanted to make sure that it was readily accessible to a water source. Our well is right over here, just on the other side of where I'm pointing over here. Okay, sorry. The well is right here, you just can't see it. So water access is readily available. Okay, so that was the second thing. The third thing that we did is we wanted to make sure that the land was such that we could plant in it. It is. And we will amend as needed. The third thing we did is we wanted to make sure that we had enough space for my husband to get around. So we went ahead, lined everything out, and I'll show you how we did that, and left him 6 feet so that he can go down in his chair, which is 4 feet wide, turn, because he can do like a zero turn, and then come back up. And each of the row in between the trees will give him that much space. It also allows for our riding mower, which usually he uses in order to cut the lawn, to pass through the different lanes. So with that, we have 26 trees that we can fit in this space. Another thing that we considered was what we ate. We're only planting what we know we love, what will grow well here, what is not going to require a whole lot from me, and then also what I know I can use in recipes and preserve for us to use in the winter months. We chose a variety of fruits because we do eat a lot of fruits and vegetables in our family. So we did cherries, we did plums, we did apricots, nectarines, peaches, persimmons, apples, as well as figs. Now I have grapes, and I will be adding a couple more grapevines in the orchard, uh, as well as in the veggie garden to round out what we grow. We will also be putting in a smaller berry patch for the family consumption in the veggie garden in areas where I don't typically plant so that we have ready access to those. I don't want to have to go over the river and through the woods, so over the creek into the orchard to grab a handful of berries if I'm making a smoothie or making a salad and just want something in it. So another thing was close proximity to what I would be using on a daily basis. So, what are some of the things that I got? I got nectarines. Now, nectarine is a stone fruit. And as with all stone fruit, they don't require a pollinator, meaning they don't need another plant to cross pollinate them. They are self pollinating, but they always do better when there is a second one. So I have usually two nectarines. It may not be the same variety, but two of the same type trees. Apples, on the other hand, requires a pollinator. And a couple of the pollinators that work for most apple trees are Granny Smith apples, Gala apples, and there's another one. I can't think off the top of my head, but those two are ones that will pollinate most other apple trees. Another thing to consider when putting in an orchard is making sure you have sufficient chill hours. Why does it matter? Well, if you live in a place like me where it is warm, there are winters where you don't get enough cold hours. And if you don't get enough cold hours, that tree will not produce fruit for you or won't produce enough fruit. So you want to pay attention to those hours. If that tree requires you to have 1400 chill hours, but you never get more than 1200 cold chill hours, meaning below 45-ish degrees each winter, you're not going to get fruit. So you want to take that into consideration. So that's what I did. I looked at what would grow well here in my zone, 8A in Georgia, and also the amount of chill hours that it will need. So we looked at that. So for me, I got a sun red nectarine. It looks like this. I also got a methle plum. We had a Santa Rosa and a methle plum in the orchard before. We loved the fruit. It produced prolifically. So we knew we wanted to replace those. And that's what this is. Now, a couple of these trees are somewhat lopsided, but we will stake them like so once we plant them, and they'll grow correctly once they get in the ground. Another thing that I'm going to do, even though we typically don't get a lot of deer here, I did hear one last night when I came outside with my dog to use the restroom. And so I know I will need to protect the bark until the trees are big enough because the deers will eat off the bark and then the tree will die. I got a Red Haven peach. And you can tell how nice, what a nice size caliper, that's what this is. The trunk of the tree is nice size, which means that I'll be getting fruit sooner rather than later. And it is also well branched. Another big tree is the Belle of Georgia. Belle of Georgia peach, we love it. We had this as well. Another peach tree that I love is Contender peach. Those are Alberta, Contender, Belle of Georgia, and Red Haven are all great peach options for the area in Georgia where we live and can give us vigorous production. Santa Rosa plum is another one I told you that we had, so I wanted to show you what that looks like. Here's our Granny Smith, and I'm planting her for pies, but also so that I can have it for cross-pollination with my other apple trees. Another peach that we got was the Indian Blood. It's a cling peach, and those are good for canning. We purchased two persimmon trees. They're both Fuyu persimmons. They did not have any gyros. We also like the gyro persimmon. These are less astringent than the typical Native American persimmon tree. I do want one of those, and I want to plant it in a corner in the orchard so that we will still have that native variety on our property. One of the figs that we got was a Texas everbearing fig. We don't have this variety currently, and I wanted it. We have a Celeste fig, Little Miss Figgy, and Olympia fig. So looks like that. The other fig that I got today was this variety. It's called the LSU fig, and it is a purple fig. Our current fig is a light green, so this would be real pretty um, fig option. I love figs. It's one of my favorite fruits. So are persimmons. And there are so many things you can do with these things. And one of the things I hope to do, one thing that I hope to do is as I begin to reap fruit in a year or two, is show you some of what I make and how I preserve the things that I grow. Gala is probably my favorite apple to eat. And so I know I had to plant a Gala apple tree. It's not very large, but it does have some branching. And I'm looking forward to a couple of years when I'm able to eat the fruit off of it. I buy a bag of Gala apples every week. So looking forward to this. Gala is also one of the ones that I said is a pollinator option. Another fruit that I love to eat, and we used to love to go fruit picking in Michigan, are apricots. So I chose to get the Moore Park apricot and the Tilton apricots. So they're just slightly different, and I have both options. We also had an apricot tree, and someday I'll tell you the story about some of my favorite trees in the orchard and what happened to them. I don't know if I'm over that yet. Another apple that I purchased was wine sap. Wine sap is not an apple that's very well known nowadays, but it is an apple that is grown widely. Well, it was grown widely in the South, and it is popular because it is an all-purpose apple, meaning you can make applesauce, you can juice it, you can cook it, you can make pies with it, and you can also eat it. So it's great to have an all-purpose apple. Wine sap is pollinated by either Granny Smith or Gala apples, which is why I got it. Another apple that I plan to purchase, and I'm probably going to get it from Trees of Antiquities, is an apple, an Anna apple. Anna apples are also an apple that was grown widely in the South and have largely died out because the ones that are grown now are prettier and they probably store a bit longer. However, we don't always get enough cold hours to guarantee the production. And the the Anna apple as well as the wine sap apple, we will always have fruit. The other nectarine that I purchased was a sun gold nectarine. Now, my last trees that I purchased are the last tree that I purchased is this Byron Gold Plum. I just bought it because it's pretty. And I know my husband always makes fun of me because I'm drawn to things that are unique. And I wanted to try having a yellow plum in the garden. We've had one before, but he ran it over with the lawnmower because it was small. And then the other one died when he was in the hospital. So I've never gotten to eat the fruit. So hopefully we'll get to eat the fruit of this one. The last four trees that I have so far for the orchard are trees that were sent to me by First Edition Shrubs and Trees to trial in my garden. And the first one is a cherry tree. It's called Sweet Cherry Pie. It is a sweet cherry. It is a compact tree, which I'm hoping to keep these trees compact because after my husband's paralysis, I do not want to go on a ladder. That scares me. And we always say one of us needs to stay healthy to be able to take care of the other. So, no trees for me. But it requires full sun and is hardy down to zone 4. So, if you're looking for a cherry tree to add to your garden, and then they say the heat zone is a 7, but I was recently upgraded to an 8. I still buy zone 7 plants because, I mean, all the zone 7 plants I have in my garden are still thriving. So I still do zone 7. I buy plants for zone 7 and zone 8. So I'm going to try this and see how it will work. And it's a fairly decent sized tree. It's uh, in the wheelbarrow, but you can see it's a full size tree. It's just taller than I am, and I'm 5'7". So it's a nice sized fruit tree. And will be, I think, beautiful on either side of the greenhouse. Now, another thing that I want to add on either side of the greenhouse, and you can leave your comments down below and tell me which one I should do, but I'm debating between the cherry tree. I'm just looking at how it's going to be in the spring, and cherry blossoms are very pretty. The last tree is called a serviceberry. Serviceberry trees produce these beautiful berries that look almost like blueberries. It's called the standing ovation serviceberry. They get to be 15 feet tall by 4 feet wide. So this little thing will be 15 feet tall by 14 feet wide. I'm thinking of putting one, I'm thinking of doing one on either side of the greenhouse as just on the far corners of the greenhouse, not right next to it, to give it some definition, something pretty next to it. So it's either going to be those cherries, which are a small dwarf variety, and those get 15 feet tall by 12 feet wide. So I think the service berry is going to win out just because of its compact size. But tell me what you think, and I'll take it into consideration. All right, y'all, in another video, I'm going to show you the method that I'm going to use to plant and then how far apart and all of that other stuff. Today, I'm just showing you what I'm putting in. Still to come, I have to purchase that Anna apple. I do think I want to purchase that American persimmon, but I'm going to plant it over in the other orchard because they take a while to establish. And I maybe a couple more fig trees, but those will go over there and I'll leave my husband to take care of those. I think that's about it. What do you think of my tree haul? I know it's quite a bit of trees. Right now, I have 24 fruit trees sitting here waiting to grow in the ground, and I still am missing 2 more because, as I told you before, the capacity up here is for 26 trees. I have been looking at some blueberry bushes, and the nursery that I went to today had some, but I know of a place that has a better price on them, and that's what I do. I am not loyal to a big box stores. I prefer to shop the smaller nurseries. I find that we got better deals. For example, the bagged fruit trees that you saw, I paid $10 a tree. That's not bad. So altogether, $200 plus tax sets up my mini home nursery. The other 4 plants were sent to me, and then I have 2 more that I need to buy. If you have any questions about anything in this video, please leave it in the comments below. As always, thank you for your support, and I'll see you in the next video. Happy gardening.